it's just like the movie Shawshank Redemption, if you've ever seen that. That was the whole idea of the corruption behind that, was the warden of the prison was using the prisoners to do labor and outcompete the competition, and he was getting kickbacks not to bid on the contracts. That was the subtle kind of side plot. And that's the kind of thing that our politicians do at the highest levels, whether they're governors, whether they're attorney generals, whether they're district attorneys. They're all funded by Soros. But to answer your question specifically about the flipping of the script, I think that what we saw with Kamala recently in the last couple of weeks, with all of a sudden everybody supporting her so much, is just indicative of the monopoly over the narrative that the left has. And there's a lot of terms that get used interchangeably, like leftist, Democrats, deep state. They're not all exactly the same thing, but they all are part of the same cabal, right? So it's like different entities on the same team, which is ultimately globalism. And what's happened ever since Project Mockingbird during the Cold War, when the CIA went in and infiltrated all the mainstream media outlets, we've had basically every major media outlet, whether it was television, print, or even social media, up until Elon bought X and kept it private, or reprivatized it rather. They've all been under the control of the government, and this has all been revealed. Even Mark Zuckerberg has not bragged about it, but admitted it when he was on Joe Rogan. He said that the CIA specifically called him to keep the Hunter Biden laptop story off of his platform. We know that they were manipulating and applying pressure to these social media platforms during COVID about vaccine information and things like that. And what's happened is there is such a monopoly over the mainstream media narrative, including legacy media and new media, that when they decide they want it to be Kamala, they just push the narrative, and so many people in our population are NPCs, non-player characters, that they just adopt whatever they're told from whatever logo that they believe, right? So if you're a CNN acolyte, or if you're an MSNBC acolyte, or if it's just you just trust your Instagram feed or your Facebook feed, you're just going to adopt whatever you see stream in by default without any critical thought. And I think that's what we've seen here, is we have a massive level of our population that is just totally in a cult. And there are cults on both sides too. There are cults where Donald Trump could like literally just murder a baby and they'd be like, oh, but what did that baby do? You know what I mean? Like there are people like that, right? I support Donald Trump. I don't think he'd ever do that. So I'm not just trying to be unfair and say that only lefties are like this. I'm not trying to be that ignorant about human condition. We're all, susceptible and vulnerable to the same things, but there's definitely a disproportionate amount of leverage over the information that people are exposed to on behalf of the deep state, which is a leftist organization, which does support the Kamalas over the outsiders like Donald Trump. And I think that we're seeing the manifestation of that with how everyone on the left just was so ready to switch teams from Joe to Ho.
So do you think that that was part of the plan? Because wasn't there was this article that said that they were arguing to use the 25th Amendment against Biden and to have him step down, and then someone else was saying that Biden was kind of going against the quote deep state by picking Kamala. They actually wanted to run Hillary, and now he basically fucked up their plan by doing that.
So.
Or do you think that it was Kamala the whole time?
My argument would be that I actually don't think Joe even wanted to run in the first place. I think that the deep state blackmailed him to run. And I think that's why they prosecuted his son, because he had to be president in order to pardon him. So we're definitely going to see a pardon from Joe Biden for all the Hunter shit before the end of his term. And I think what happened was he transitioned, Joe did, from a useful idiot to a useless idiot when his cognitive decline got too severe. And I think that's when they first considered who the alternative should be, was after this debate, especially in June. I think the debate might have even been a setup to show the world how sick he really was.
Okay, so you don't think they were surprised by that?
I think there were a lot of people that were surprised about it, but not the insiders. I think the insiders set him up. Own staff, people, Kamala's staff, even other. There was definitely a lot of conversation, I think, before that why would you let a man with cognitive decline do a debate at 9 p.m. for an hour and a half straight? I mean, my dad is 75. He doesn't have cognitive decline. I would never schedule a debate for him at 9 p.m. He goes to bed at 8:22 every night, right? Literally, it's a family joke. 8:22 p.m. Oh, Dad, you going to bed? Yeah, I'm exhausted. Smart guy, but you reach a certain age and you just get tired early, right? And more often throughout the day. Like if he was going to do debate, why don't you schedule it at noon then, or 6 at least when everyone's at home watching dinner, not 9 p.m. It was obviously a setup. And I think Trump knew it was going to be a setup, so that's why he agreed to ridiculous terms like having it at CNN and all this BS around nobody in the audience, things like that. And Trump, if you go back and watch it, he basically just let Joe talk the whole time. I mean, usually in a debate you're fighting for minutes with your opponent over time, and Trump just knew that if you let him talk, that it was going to be enough. So I think Joe was set up. I don't know whether or not they wanted it to be Kamala. I just think that they knew anybody else was going to be better, and maybe they were going to push for an open convention, but I can't say for certain that they picked Kamala, but I can say for certain that they undermined Joe.
And then do you think that anything's going to change at the DNC? When is that, in September?
I think it's this month, isn't it?
August?
Is it August? I think so.
August or September. It's coming up.
Maybe it's September. I can't remember. I think it's at the end of this month.
Okay.
It's virtual. And I don't know if it's even legally possible for them to switch, because technically she has enough delegates. But so did Joe. So maybe they could push her out if she shows up as super unpopular on the polls. But they seem to have the polls fixed that she's got enough popularity to justify keeping her in the race. I think it's looking, every day that goes by that she's still the candidate, it looks like she's definitely going to be the candidate.
And it's so odd because they're showing the polls with her, Trump, and RFK, and she is showing really impressive numbers.
Yeah, but Hillary showed really impressive numbers too in 2016. She got her ass kicked.
So you don't think that they're that reliable?
Mm-mm.
No?
No. And they always show you favorability versus who you're actually going to vote for.
And there's a big
I think there's a little bit of a difference. Like, you know, do you think Kamala would do a good job? No. Are you going to vote for her? Yes. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, it's possible that you think, but Trump would, you know, so I'm always questionable about the favorability thing, because people will vote for somebody that they don't personally like if they think that they'd be a better president. So I don't know. I really don't trust the polls, especially after 2016.
So, yeah, that's true. That's true. And then to question that makes you a lunatic.
Maybe, but you have David Axelrod, who's one of the most famous left-wing Democratic campaign managers in history. He was Barack Obama's campaign manager in 2008. He did a masterclass with Karl Rove on how to win a campaign on the website masterclass.com, right? Mm-hmm. And he came out and said all the internal poll numbers were showing that she was behind in every swing state. So if he is going on CNN saying that their internal poll numbers say she's behind, but all the public poll numbers say that she's ahead by 1 point or 2 points, it's like, who the fuck is lying? You know, like, obviously the public polls are bullshit. And by the way, when was the last time you were polled?
Well, I don't know how many of them are accurate. My phone has been crazy.
With polls?
Yes.
They ask you questions?
They just berate me, yes.
Do you answer?
No, because I don't ever know if it's a bot or if it's like China and everything's going to get hacked, so I just delete everything.
You answer?
No.
Are they
used
texts?
to. They're texts, yeah. Click this link, or like I probably have one here, and they're always Democrat.
Did you used to vote for Democrats?
No, I'm registered independent, and I've only ever voted for Trump.
Awesome.
So,
this girl's cool.
Yeah. Let me see if I have it.
Do you think Trump's a Republican, or would you classify him as an independent?
I would say he's independent, and I think before he officially ran, I think he was probably leaning more Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, regardless of any of that, I think once you have an assassination attempt on you, I think you're probably going to go right pretty quick.
Do you think people are going to forget?
I don't think they're going to forget, but I don't think that the power of it or the intensity
You wish
of
it would have happened like a week before.
I think that would be better for his outcome.
Maybe there'll be another try.
I hope not.
I mean, I hope they don't get him.
No, I know, me too.
But if there was another try the week before and he survived again, other ear.
Yeah, other ear. And then he'd just have like the 2 bandages.
Can you imagine?
Oh no. I saw Alex, he made the post right after, and he said that he thinks it's going to be poison, like that they're not going to stop, and he offered to help.
Whenever I hear poison
team.
Though, I just think Game of Thrones, poison's a woman's weapon.
Yeah, me too.
Do you too?
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I use a lot of references from that show in real life.
It's my comfort show.
Mine too.
Like whenever I'm like sad or or extremely happy, I always just start at the beginning.
I've started from the beginning, and this is probably embarrassing. From the beginning all the way through, probably 12 times.
Yeah, I'm about there too. My wife hates the fucking show. She's like,
really?
"Oh, you're going through something?" I'm like, "Shut up."
No, we love it. It's like if you
Tyrion's my favorite.
Tyrion,
I drink and I know things.
Yes.
I have a coaster that says that shit.
Yeah, my husband has a sweater. It's like an ugly Christmas sweater that says that. Yeah, it's
That's
the best.
awesome.
I do the little finger exercise all the time where he's like, imagine the worst possible thing like that this person would want, and then now work it back and like backcast it. What are they doing? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to figure out this person.
So then what do you think about Kamala? I mean, the worst thing she could want is like ultimate power, right?
I don't know if we talked about NPCs. I don't know that she knows where she is at any given point.
I would not underestimate that woman.
Really?
I would not fucking underestimate that woman.
Like on Hillary level?
Because
Hillary, I would agree with Hillary.
There's a difference between being low IQ and having low verbal IQ. Mm-hmm. This is someone who sounds really stupid. And I know that I say she's retarded all the time, but she's definitely politically savvy at some point. I mean, this is somebody who started from fucking nowhere and is now the vice president of the United States. That just doesn't just happen. I'm very wary about underestimating her.